Hey everybody, just want to share a quick little insight from my study journal conference this morning. While I was on my morning run, I was listening to the April 1932 journal conference, and Bishop Wells was speaking, and he was speaking about the Sabbath day, and he went over, the typical list of these are the things the prophets have said are inappropriate to do for the Sabbath day. And it really got me thinking about President Nelson's admonition that we don't really focus on lists, and instead we focus on making the Sabbath a sign between us and the Lord. And honestly, I think the majority of us have missed the boat with that. President Nelson was not saying, hey, all these things you've been told not to do are now suddenly okay, and all the things that you want to do are okay. And that's how a lot of the members of the church have taken it. I had someone arguing with me saying, no, because of President Nelson, we can now go shopping on Sunday, we can do all these things. That's not how it works. That's not how ministering works. That's not how the First Strength of Youth works. That's not how making the Sabbath a sign between you and the Lord works. President Nelson was trying to get us to understand the underlying principle that everything is built upon. Because if you understand the principle of the Sabbath day, then you don't need a list to tell you what to do. You're naturally not going to do any of those things. The list is for people who don't understand the principle, so they can kind of learn the do's and the don'ts. But if you understand the principle, you're not going to do any of the things on that list. If you understand the principle behind the First Strength of Youth, you're not suddenly going to say, hey, now it doesn't explicitly say tattoos are not okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get a tattoo. If you go ahead and you understand the underlying principle behind ministering, you're not going to say, hey, I don't need to do home visits anymore. He is calling us to live higher and holier, because when you understand the principle, you can understand the rare exceptions, and you can also understand what you can do to do more than what the prophets and apostles have asked us to do. And I think this is super important. And Elder Wells goes on and he quotes a ton of prophets, first presidency statements, all these things talking about the principles of keeping the Sabbath day holy. And it just made my heart weep a little bit to think that when President Nelson called us to be higher and holier, we became lower and lazier as a whole. I see more and more people at the stores on Sunday. I see more and more people doing the exact things the prophets for over 100 years, they said, this is in violation. This is disrespectful. This is not okay. President Nelson didn't say they're okay now. It's not disrespectful. He tried to teach us what the principle was, so that way we would naturally understand all the variations and circumstances of applying it. And I can't help but think that President Nelson, just like he weeps over ministering, probably weeps over how we treat the Sabbath day and how we treat the First Strength of Youth. I would not be surprised if in the future we had to return a little bit more to the letter of the law, because the spirit of the law, unfortunately, is missed on so many, and they're doing lower and less.